Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to week 4 of the playoff eliminator for college football. We have a lot to talk about this week. A lot of new teams have had their name added to the death list. Lots of group of 5 teams, but we also have some big names, some Power 4 schools to go over today. Teams that you may have known are in trouble so far early this season, and teams that you may have not known are in trouble. And we got a few teams that have already been eliminated for sure from the playoff race. So don't want to waste too much time. Without too much further ado, let's get straight into it. So many names on the list added this past week. So let's just go through the group of 5 teams first, and then we'll get to the big names. So out of the group of 5, most of these teams have been added to the list now because they picked up their second loss over the past weekend. So either they got their second loss or they might have got embarrassed by a team, blown out, something like that. But most of these group of 5 teams picked up loss number 2. So that goes for UAB, Bowling Green, Temple, Buffalo, Toledo, Northern Illinois, Idaho. I'm not sure if Idaho's in the FBS anymore. I remember they moved down like a year or two ago. Maybe they came back. I'm not for sure, but Idaho's on the list, eliminated. Either way, I guess. You also got Florida International, Air Force, East Carolina, Southern Miss, Colorado State, and Hawaii. So all of those teams have been added to the list because they picked up their second loss of the season. And for the group of 5, that basically puts you on the list. A third loss will basically eliminate you depending on what your conference looks like and whatnot. So those teams are now on the brink of having their playoff dreams end, and they are definitely going to need to be dang near perfect to have a chance to make the dance this season. So after the group of 5, we have some big Power 4 schools to talk about this week. A lot of disappointing teams so far this season, and a couple huge surprises we have. So getting into it, we'll just go over Oklahoma State, touch on them briefly. Oklahoma State was already on the list after they got embarrassed by Oregon a week or two ago. Well, this past week they lost to Tulsa, so they're pretty much done. Group of 5 loss at home, by the way. With those 2 games in mind, I just don't see a way Oklahoma State makes the playoff anymore, especially in the competitive Big 12 that is going to be this year. So stick a fork in the Cowboys. They are done. And I think it might be finally time to let head coach Mike Gundy go. He's just been there for a long time, and it's not working anymore. So Oklahoma State, terrible season so far, and playoff dreams are done. Wisconsin, the Wisconsin Badgers have been added to the list after they were destroyed at home by Maryland. This is the second time they've been blown out this season. As you'll remember, a couple weeks ago, they got blown out by Alabama for the second year in a row there. So second time they've been blown out this season. Doesn't spell well for the playoff. Playoff teams don't get blown out twice in a season, especially at home by Maryland. So Wisconsin is on the list now, even though they only have 2 losses, but those 2 losses were very bad. So Wisconsin adds himself to the list, a third loss, and I think we could probably stick a fork in Wisconsin as well. The Clemson Tigers, I want to save Clemson for last, but real quick, the Clemson Tigers, yes, those Clemson Tigers, the same Clemson Tigers who have won national championships in the past decade, who have been a perennial powerhouse championship contender. The Clemson Tigers were heavily favored this year to be a top contender for the championship, and it just has not gone that way. They lose again this past weekend to Syracuse at home for a third loss, and this season has gone off the rails already for the Tigers. I mean, they made the playoffs with 3 losses last year, but those 3 losses didn't come in the first 4 games. They're 1-3 to start off the season. They still have a long schedule ahead of them. And yeah, Clemson's already kind of on the brink of losing all hope. I mean, after this third loss, they're Baylor hanging on by a thread at this point. So I'm going to circle back to Clemson. Just want to go over them real quick as I was going through the list. But Clemson Tigers, so disappointing. Dabo Swinney, just not a good environment over there in Clemson, South Carolina right now. So North Carolina, Bill Belichick coming down to college football, and we thought that he'd be able to turn this program around and be able to add some success to their program that they haven't seen before. Coming from being the greatest NFL coach of all time to the college ranks, you thought he'd be able to adjust pretty well. Has not happened. This past weekend, they were blown out by Central Florida. That's the second time they've been blown out this year. As you'll remember, they got blown out week 1 in prime time against TCU at home. Most of us saw that game because it was in prime time, and this is the second time they've been blown out. So they're 2-2 with 2 blowout losses. Not a great look. So they are now on the list as well. One more loss, and I think we can stick a fork in the Tar Heels. So the Bill Belichick experience has not worked out so far. Bill Belichick still struggles to evaluate talent. He did in the NFL. That was kind of his weakness, evaluating talent. That's why he was not a good GM, but he was a good coach. Seems like he's kind of having that same issue here at UNC because clearly the backup quarterback, Max Johnson, is better than the starter. I think, and I've heard multiple people say the same thing, except Bill Belichick is the only one who can't see it, apparently. So, North Carolina struggling so far, and they are now on the Eliminator's death list. Not eliminated just yet, but he's looking for them. Florida, the Florida Gators. 3 straight losses. I told you they're going to be on this list soon. They are now officially added to the list. The Florida Gators losing their 3rd straight game. First game was to South Florida. Then it was LSU. Then this past weekend it was Miami. These are 3 good teams, especially now we know South Florida is good, but you can't lose 3 in a row if you expect to make the playoffs. And the Florida Gators do not look good. They are not playing well. PJ Lagway is not living up to the hype that we had for him before the season. He is not playing well. He's thrown going on 10 interceptions already this season through 4 games. Billy Napier is back on the hot seat. The Florida Gators faithful is back unhappy about how their football team is doing. And it seems to be going off the rails for Florida early. And they still have one of the worst schedules in college football remaining. So, told you they were going to be on this list soon. They are now officially on the list. And I think we can probably put a big red X next to their name with another loss. 3 losses, they're still in the SEC. If they somehow turn around and win out, then, there might still be a chance. But one more loss, and, I think the Gators are cooked. West Virginia. Surprising to see them early on this list so far. Thought that they could compete with the Big 12 this year. So far, it doesn't look like it. They lost to Ohio a couple weeks ago. Ohio, not Ohio State, just regular Ohio, group of 5. And now this past weekend, they got blown out by Kansas. So 2 bad losses. Not a great look. West Virginia's now on the list. Big 12 is going to be competitive, and you can't be getting beat by teams like this, especially that badly. So the Mountaineers have been added to the list officially. Washington State got blown out again 2 weeks in a row. As you know, last week they were our star of our show, 59-10 against North Texas, embarrassed. Well, this week they got blown out again in the Apple Cup by Washington. By the way, I called Washington State the Huskies last week, and no, they are the Cougars, Washington State Cougars, who played the Washington Huskies this past weekend and got blown out again. So Washington State is done. It's their 2nd loss, but as we've talked about, they are not really in a conference. They're in a Pac-2 conference with Oregon State. So no real conference schedule, no conference championship to look forward to. Only 12 games in the season for them, and they've already been embarrassed twice. So that will do it for them. They are eliminated officially, and the Pac-2 conference is eliminated because Oregon State was already eliminated. Stanford has been eliminated officially after losing to Virginia, got blown out by Virginia. They also lost to Hawaii week 1. group of 5 loss. So that'll just about do it for Stanford. I think it's their 3rd loss anyway. But yeah, Stanford looks bad, and nope, not going to happen for them. And then last but not least, we got California. Now, California is not officially on the list for me yet. I just added them because they got blown out 34-0 by San Diego State this past weekend. But it was Cal's first loss, so I can't put them officially on the list with only 1 loss, but a very bad loss. So we just had to mention them real quick. But yes, those will be the new teams we had. And just want to go over Clemson again before I let y'all go. Clemson, man, like, I don't know what's going on with them. I think Clemson has just lost the plot. I don't think Dabo Swinney is built for this new era of college football with the NIL and the transfer portal. He has just not seemed to have been able to adjust. He's still depending heavily on high school recruiting mostly, which is fine, but it's just a new age, and you got to be able to adjust with the transfers and the NIL. You just got to get on board just like the other teams have. The other teams are adjusting, and that's why they're having success. You see the Indianas, the SMUs, the Arizona States coming out of nowhere because these teams are taking advantage of the new dynamics of college football. Clemson is not. Clemson is doubling down and, hoping that the recipe that they've used for years and years in the past will continue to work. But unfortunately, it's a new menu, it's a new restaurant, and there's new customers, and you can't just continue to put out the same boring old product that you've put out that used to work. It doesn't work anymore. As Nick Saban found out, that's why he left. So, and as Alabama's finding out right now that they're not the cream of the crop anymore. Seems like Clemson is finding that out as well. We expected Clemson to compete for the ACC again this year and to be the top dog and to be one of the best teams in college football. Now it's like, are they even going to make a bowl game? Are they going to wait? Are they going to win 6 games and make a bowl game this year? They're 1-3. They're losing at home to Syracuse and almost to Troy. It's just not great for Clemson right now. So we're going to see how bad they're going to be this year. Hopefully they at least still make a bowl game for their sake. But Dabo Swinney's got to stop saying these weird things after the games, talking about, haven't you forgot what I've done? Dabo, we know what you've done. But that's in the past. This is college football. What have you done for me lately? That's what matters. And lately, you're 1-3. So we'll see if Clemson gets it together. But yeah, Clemson is a dumpster fire now, unfortunately. And the ACC has lost their best competitor. I mean, year after year, they've lost their face, at least for this season. So they're going to rock with Miami and Florida State and Georgia Tech. And hopefully the ACC will have those teams to lead them this year. But Clemson will not be it at all. Clemson's not officially eliminated yet, even though with 3 losses. But remember, they made the playoff with 3 losses last year. If they somehow win out, who knows? There still might be a chance. But one more loss for Clemson, and yes, I will stick the fork in them. I think they'll be done. Same goes for Florida. Same pretty much goes for North Carolina. But yeah, Clemson, terrible, man. Thank you for watching Week 4 of the Playoff Eliminator. As usual, when your game's out here, you better play well. The Grim Reaper, he's looking for you. We're getting deep in the season. We're starting to add more teams, and we're starting to thin the herd. So watch out.